We are going to start second unit of organization behavior, that is understanding human behavior in management. While understanding human behavior in management, managers can create a work environment that can foster collaboration, motivation, and productivity. If a manager knows the perception of employees, then it would be easy for him to make decisions or to handle conflict among the members of the organization. In this video, we're going to cover what is perception, the perceptual process, factors influencing perception, and importance of perception and OB. If we talk about perception, in simple language, everyone has a different way of thinking, or we can say different viewpoint that can be concluded at perception. In a proper definition, perception is an intellectual process of transferring sensory stimuli to meaningful information. It is the process in which interpreting something that we can see or hear in our mind and use it later to judge or to give a verdict on any situation or a group or a person, etc. It refers to the way we interpret and make sense of sensory information. Perception involves the process by which we organize and interpret sensory impressions to give a meaningful perception to our environment. It is crucial to understand that how we see, hear, taste, touch, or smell the world around us. Our perceptions are influenced by the factors such as past experiences, expectations, cultural background, and the context in which stimuli are presented. Essentially, perception is how our brain makes senses of the sensory inputs we receive from the world. It can be divided into six types, that is, first is sound, the ability to receive sound by identifying vibrations. Second is by speech. For example, the competence of interpreting and understanding the sound of language heard. Third is by touch, identifying the object through patterns of its surface and by touching it. And fourth is the ability to receive flavor of substances by tasting it through sensory organs known as taste buds. Other senses, they approve perception through body like balance, acceleration, pain, time, sensation felt in throat or in lungs, etc. Sixth one is out of the social world. It permits people to understand other individuals and groups of their social worlds. Example, Priya goes to a restaurant and she likes the customer service. So she will perceive that it is a good place to hang out and will recommend it to her other friends who may or may not like the restaurant as Priya does. Priya's perception about the restaurant is good. Now, if we talk about perception process, perceptual process have different stages of perception. We go through. The first one is receiving, selecting, organizing, and interpreting. In this next slide, we'll see the framework of perceptual process. We can see that it starts from receiving stimuli, that are external and internal factors from which we receive information. Forwarded towards selecting stimuli, that is, selecting all the important and interested information that we receive. Forwarded towards organization, it means them organizing or synchronizing the information in a order or in a record. Third, and here the last one is interpreting the final thought that we have interpreted from that information comes out in the form of responses. One by one, we'll study the steps of perceptual process. First one is receiving. Receiving is the first and most important stage in the process of perception. It is an initial stage in which a person collects all the information and receives the information through the sense organs. That is, we can hear or we have read any of the facts or we have seen anything. Second is selecting. Selecting is a second stage in this process. Here, a person does not receive the data but selectively. A person selects some information out of all in accordance with his interest or need. The selection is a data. Selection of data is dominated by various external and internal factors. So, what are the external factors in this? The factors that influence the perception of an individual externally are size, contrast, movement, repetition, familiarity, or else nobility. Internal factors may be the factors that influence the perception of an individual internally that can be forming, learning, background, experiences, or we can say self acceptance and interest. Our next stage is about organizing. Keeping things in order, or to say in a synchronized way, is organizing. In order to make sense of data, it is important to organize them. And we can organize the data by, first of all, by grouping them on the basis of similarity, continuity, etc., or else establishing a figure ground is the basis process of perception. Hereby, figures we mean what is kept as main focus, and by ground we mean background stimuli which are not giving attention. Third is perceptual contingency is the tendency to stabilize perception so that conceptual changes doesn't affect them. Here comes to the interpreting. Finally, we have the process of interpreting, which means forming an idea about a particular object depending upon the need or interest. Interpretation means that the information we sensed or organized is finally giving a meaning by turning it into something that has categorized. It includes stereotyping and halo effect, etc. Now we come to the factors influencing perception. Perception in organization setting is influenced by various internal as well as external factors. The factors shape how individuals interpret and make sense of information, which in turn affects their own behavior and decision making within the organization. So, here are some internal factors which we'll discuss one by one. That is individual difference. Each individual brings their own background, experiences, values, cognitive processes on the table. These differences can lead to the variation in perception as people may interpret the same information differently on the basis of their unique perspective. Second is motivation and goals. People motivations and goals influence what they pay attention and how they interpret information. For example, individuals motivated by advancement opportunities may perceive organization change differently than those primarily concerned with the job security. That is, if any of the technologies is being introduced in the organization, then there are two types of people that one kind of is they will welcome or they will accept the changes with a quite enthusiasm that it is a good opportunity for us. Or on the other hand, some people or employees may take it as a challenge or else a burden on their task. Third is personality traits. Personality traits is such as openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and can impact how individuals perceive and respond to organizational stimuli. Some high in neuroticism might perceive and from a superior as more threatening than someone in low self emotional stability. Fourth one is attitude and beliefs. Pre existing attitudes and beliefs can color how individuals perceive events in the organization. For example, employees with a positive attitude towards the change may perceive organization change as an opportunity for his or her growth, whereas those with a negative attitude may perceive that change as a threat to stability. Now comes the emotional state. Emotions can influence perception by shaping what individuals focus on and how they interpret the information. For instance, someone in a positive mood may perceive feedback from a colleague as a constructive criticism, whereas someone in a negative mood may perceive that as an attack. Sixth is cognitive biases. Cognitive biases such as informational bias, stereotyping, and halo effect can distort perception by causing individuals to selectively process information and make judgments based on perceived notions rather than objective evidences. Now comes to the external factors. Leadership style. The behavior and communication style of organization leader can shape employees' perception easily. Leaders who are transparent, supportive, and empathetic may foster trust and a positive perception among the employees, while authoritarian or autocratic leader may create a feeling of distrust or negativity or pressure. Next is organization structure. The formal structure of an organization, including its hierarchy, communication channels, and decision making, can affect how information flows and is perceived. For example, A decentralized structure that encourages open communication may lead to more accurate perception among employees as compared to highly centralized structures. Next is work environment. These factors, such as physical workplace designs, noise level, workload, can impact employees' cognitive process and perceptions. A cultured work environment, for instance, may lead to a restriction and employees' ability to accurately perceive information. Next one is stakeholders' influence. External stakeholders such as customers, suppliers, and regulatory bodies can influence how the organization has been perceived, both internally as well as externally. Positive relationships with stakeholders can enhance the employee's perception of the organization, reputation, and credibility. Here comes the industry's market conditions. In this, the competitive landscape, market trends, and industry dynamics can shape employees' perception and their organization, performance, and prospectus. For example, employees in rapidly evolving industries may perceive a change as necessary for survival, whereas those in stable industries may view it as disruptive. Now, here we'll discuss, and this is the factors influencing perception by a representative model. I was talking about importance of perception in OB now. We need to understand what's the role of perception in an organization. That is, it is very important in establishing different roles of perception, like to understand the task to be performed. It means it depends on a perception totally that how an employee is interpreting and creating his perception about the task he has been assigned. Understanding associated importance of the task allotted. It means by knowing the importance of the task assigned, the employees or the members of the team can feel a level of responsibility about the task and the importance of the task. To understand the employees and to shape the personality of an individual. For example, every member in a group has to be clear regarding the rules allotted to them. Programmer, while writing the code, or test takers check it, etc.